Well, Sean, another impressive performance from your team, but crucially this time they got their just rewards.
Yeah, and I think it's important, because it's hard as a manager when we've stepped away twice, one against a very good Arsenal side, more so the second half. Villa, we weren't close, but the other games I think we performed well, and it's hard when you have to keep coming out and telling that story. I think the Evertonians have realised that a lot of them, the performances have been what they'd expect and what they want, but you've got to win games, you've got to score goals and you've got to win games. So to do that today down here, it's become a tough place this over the last couple of seasons, and to be so effective in our play and ask questions. I think 18 efforts a goal again, so our efforts are high. And trying to take the game on, that was the biggest thing for me. I thought we set our stall out very early in the game to take the game on, and I was very pleased with that.
When you say it's a very hard place to come, just to put that into context, it's the second defeat that Brentford have suffered here in the league in a year. It's only the second time in a year they've conceded 3 goals. So does that show the magnitude of the win, of the performance, and what was, especially in the second half, thoroughly dominant, to be honest?
Yeah, I mean, I don't over question what they do, but yeah, these become tough places, and we want to make Goodison feel like that when it's awkward and we can win games, of course. But the biggest reinforcement is for the players. The performance for them. They've been working hard. They've been diligent this week. We had a chat about how we can find that freedom when the noise is tough. And I said last week, and I did, we're the only ones who can change the Everton story. We're working hard to change the Everton story. The fans are brilliant. They're playing their part. They've travelled amazingly again today. And at the end of the day, we have to change the story. There's been a cloud hanging around the club for a couple of seasons now, and when I got here, I was aware of that. But I said to the players, lads, don't go along the storyline. We've got to change it. And I think that's a start today, because other performances have been good performances. We haven't won. That's a step forward, because we did win. We've created lots of chances. We didn't come away from that idea of creating chances, because sometimes, what it's like, the players are thinking, God, we've created loads again first half. We're coming at 1-1, and everyone's like, how do we come in at 1-1? But we kept with the right behaviours, on-pitch behaviours, that is, kept pushing forward, kept playing, kept Dwight being loose, coming off his shape, Duke pressing brilliantly from the front and getting in the box, and asking more and more questions. Dom looked sharp when he came on, which is another positive. Garner works hard, defensively we look strong. These are really good habits, but you only get them reinforced when you win games. And we've got to keep winning, or keep that winning mentality, and create a different story. We've got to create a different story at Everton Football Club and get our fans to believe in what we're doing on the pitch and change the whole storyline.
I was going to ask, were you particularly proud of your team that at half-time we could have gone in and thought, here we go again, the fact that we've dominated, we've missed chances, but then we've come out this time and got that reward and finished those chances?
Yeah, of course, because they need their own reinforcement, and that comes from winning. They created loads of chances, and then they're looking, and we're going, right, who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the one who changes it? And Duke, last season, this season, he kept getting in the box, and you go in there often enough, you find goals. Dwight again breaking the back line. Beto, he's learning, he's getting sharper. Dom comes on looking sharp. Really good set pieces today. We look really strong, and these are a set piece side, a part of their makeup, so really pleased with that. But they need reinforcing. So when you do get a win, especially on the road, of course, in the Premier League, and play that well, then you get your rewards, and it's important that we remind ourselves that when we do the right things, we do get our rewards.
It's been spoken about quite often that Everton on the road in recent years, wins have been hard to come by, but there was a moment last season at Brighton where we went there, and everyone knows what Team Brighton are, and put that unbelievable performance in. Is this another moment that kind of shows what we're capable of, under your coaching staff and with these players, of what we can do?
What it is, it's a moment to reinforce what we're trying to build. There's loads to do. I said at the end of last season, it's not to be negative. There's a lot of negativity around Everton. I'm certainly not trying to be negative. We're trying to make sure the players are grounded enough to understand that doesn't change the whole season. We've got to continually earn the right to change the whole season. We've got to keep performing, keep with the habits, keep with the work ethic, keep with just the basic, real principle of working really hard as a team, and become tougher in our mentality to see games through like we did today. So what it is, it reinforces another step forward. That's all. There's a lot to do, and I've just told the players that.
There was a few welcome selection dilemmas ahead of the game. James Garner came in and started. Did you feel that was justified with that superb ball for Dukes for that opener?
Really pleased for Jimmy. Works ever so hard. He's very adaptable. We know that. We ask a lot of him. When I left him out, I said, look, Jimmy, make no mistake. Players like yourself and your Patos and Jared, these are the future players. These are the ones we're trying to, build on. These are the ones that they have to go in and out. That's part of their learning, the process. And he's got a lovely honesty about him. Jimmy is a very good player. And I was reinforcing that to him about playing wide, playing inside. He's very adaptable, as you saw today. But there was a lot of good performances, not just him. I thought Duke was excellent. Duke set the scene very early on. His pressing, his work ethic for the team. And then, like I say, defensively we looked strong.
I know you were asked in your pre-match press conference on Thursday about set pieces, about getting back to set pieces where we were under you last season. So was it particularly satisfying that the opener came via a set piece and the James Tarkowski's goal obviously came directly from a set piece?
Yeah, I think one of them strange things about football, Tarky played here and then he scores against his old team. How many times that happened? We didn't design it just purely for that. The delivery was very good. The delivery I thought today generally from set pieces was very good, and that's a key factor. You put it into the right areas, you put it in with quality, and we know we've got people who go into the box with that belief of scoring, and pleased they did today.
And how pleased were you say about Evertonians? Yet again, we know home and away what their support, but just to give them a bit of joy as well, seeing that the fan base at the end.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm pleased for the players. They put a lot of work in. Very proud of the work they continue to do. It's not easy, putting that work in when the heat's on and the noise is changing. But the Evertonians, they stick with it. They travel. Well, since I've been here, they travel away. They, put the numbers in the stadiums. Their voice today, fantastic. That's all we can ask. At the end of the day, we know we've got to change the story. I must reiterate that, but we do it by performances. And we know they'll support us and back us, but we've got to keep doing that. We've got to show that intent, that desire to win games, not just the quality, that whole body language and that energy and that belief in what we do to go and win games like we have today. And we've got to keep doing that.
Just a word on Dom as well, just a welcome sight of him scoring again. But how important has it been for him, the performances of Beto, just to take that little bit of pressure off and to kind of ease him back in after obviously the injury troubles that he's had?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I've been at the club, it's been a constant story about Dom, and like you say, it weighs heavy. Whereas we've been, managing to get him fit, build him back into fitness. We know he's a very good player. He came on nice and sharp today. We know he's still reinforcing his body and his mentality to be totally Premier League fit. But it's another good sign for him today, and I'm very pleased that he came on looking sharp. And like you say, Beto's working hard. Beto's learning about the Premier League. It's a different kind of style, and he's learning that. But yeah, Dom was sharp today, and I'm pleased for him.
And I know finally, just you always don't want to get too over the top after a win, like you just don't want to get too low. Is that an important message for your players now, that it is a very impressive performance? So as you say, it's building on from here ahead of 2 home games now in the league.
Yeah, the balance of what we do, like I say, there's no other feeling than being very pleased today. But it's a constant process. It's a season's work. I say to the players, I think we've got to bring that more balanced view, rather than to be super high with a win and then super low. We've got to change that internally. We've got to change that. We've got to build that nice kind of even kill. Doesn't mean you don't enjoy it. Of course we enjoy it. Of course we enjoy the wins. But then not be too, disappointed by if the game doesn't go to well. We analyse it, we work on it, and then we correct it. And that's the pathway I want the players to keep going on, is that kind of thinking, so that nothing's achieved until the end of the season. And that's why we want to build on last season and perform better by the end of the season than the last, and we keep building and keep moving forwards.
Well done today, Sean.
Thank you.